Hello everyone and welcome to Sinful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video, we're going to talk getting started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and today we're going to take a look at the Sylvaneth from the Heartwood subfaction. In this video, we're going to go through everything you get in a Sylvaneth Heartwood faction army, what the special rules for it are. We'll then take a look at how we can start off our army, and then look at other units we can use to expand upon those initial purchases later with. With that said, we'll finish off the video with a little sample army list for you to see it all put into practice and use as some inspiration to create our own Sylvaneth Heartwood army. So, with that all said, let's talk about Heartwood. First of all, it is a Sylvaneth subfaction in the traditional sense. You get a cool special rule. After deployment, but before the first battle round begins, you can pick up to 3 different enemy units on the battlefield to be the quarry of the hunt. If you do so, add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by friendly Heartwood units that target those quarried units. In addition to this, you're going to get Kerneth Hunter battle lines. This is all pretty cool. This essentially will mean your Kerneth Hunters are going to be 2s to hit most of your opponent's main units in the army, which is really nice. So a pretty solid faction, or sub-faction rather, all round. And so, where do we look to begin this faction? I think the Arch Revenant is a really fun unit to start with. First of all, he's going to give +1 to wound for friendly Kerneth Hunters wholly within 12 inch of him, which is just great. So straight away, our Kerneth Hunters on a lot of profiles are going to be 2s on 2s without even so much as a command point being spent. He's also got his own command ability to give them a +1 attack, which is really nice. And then he's got his Crescent Shield as well, where at the start of the combat phase you can say if this unit will to adopt defensive or aggressive stance. If he adopts a defensive stance, he has a ward save at 4+ until the end of the phase. And if it's adopting an aggressive stance, he has +1 attacks to his Revenant Glaive instead. His Revenant Glaive gives him 4 attacks, or 5 if he's being aggressive, 3s and 3s, rend 2, damage 1 with a 2-inch reach. He's also got D3 attacks from the tail pincers of his bug friend, his Zephyr Sprite, which is forced to hit, 3s to wound, no rend, and damage 2. But all in all, he's just a great buff piece that can do a little bit of damage on his own as well. Now, looking at units to begin with, I think there are really 2 options, but we'll talk about one of them here first, and that is Kerneth Hunters with greatswords. Really, it does depend between this and size, which we'll talk about in a sec, of which one you want to start with, and it really depends what's in your current meta. Swords are better against lower armor save models as they get more hits through. So your Kerneth Hunters with greatswords, they have 4 attacks, 3s, rend 1, damage 2, and they do 2 mortal wounds on a 6 to hit, and the attack sequence ends. All Kerneth Hunters have the Envoys of the Everqueen rule, where while this unit's contesting an objective, friendly Sylvaneth units wholly within 6 inch of this objective are considered to be wholly within 6 inch of an overgrown terrain feature, and their trample underfoot rule allows them to do some mortal wounds at the end of the combat phase as well. So a pretty solid unit with 3 up save, 5 wounds on them as well. Means they can never be Galatian veterans though, but it also means they can't ever get targeted by any rules that would affect Galatian veterans. And here we have Kerneth Hunters with Sires as a new unit to expand upon. Now, this is definitely units fighting for a spot in your army alongside the swords. And I do think both have their places, but they do have some differences between the 2 different units. So first of all, the Sires don't do any mortal wounds, but this means they are free to gain other abilities, say from the Everdusk, to get exploding 6s to hit, which they can use on those hit rolls, because obviously with your swords you have to pick and choose which ability you want to activate. Now, they have 3 up save, 5 wounds, same, that's just Kerneth Hunters in general. They, however, have 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, though, you know, with the Arch Revenant, 2s and 2s, -3 rend, which is just a massive, and damage 2. They've got the Envoys of the Everqueen and the Trample Underfoot rules, and they've also got Tanglethorn Thicket, where if any enemy models finish a piling move within 3 inch of any friendly units with this rule, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound after all models have finished their pile-in move. So you can do a mortal wound just for your enemy piling in near you, which is pretty cool as well. The last Kerneth Hunter unit to talk about is Kerneth Hunters with Great Bows, and I think these provide a different role to the other 2 units of Kerneths, and they are slightly cheaper. Once again, same statistics, but they've got a Kerneth Bow, which is 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, rend 1, damage 2, which, remember, you know, can be pretty easily 3s and 3s there with your ability for the hunts, so not too bad. The Vicious Claws in combat, 3 attacks, 3 threes, no rend damage 1. Now, they've just got Envoys of the Everqueen and Trample Underfoot. No additional rules on top of them. They've just got the shooting range. That's pretty much what they're there to do. Now, the last units we want to talk about are Tree Revenants and Dryads. These 2 units are your pure battle line units and are going to be the way you get some Galatian veterans onto the table. I think at this stage, especially if you're going to go Kerneth Hunter heavy, you're wanting to get more models in your unit, so a unit of Dryads is probably the better option, though you have the movement ability with those Tree Revenants, thanks to their musician. Their ability to sort of teleport over where they need to be is really useful as well. So I think both units definitely have an option. For me, slightly tipped in the favour of the Dryads. They're much more survivable than any of the Tree Revenant units will be. And so here we have our sample army list. Now, we've gone for the Glade Heartwood, obviously, and we've gone Season of War Everdust. Now, this does reduce by 3 inch our ability to sort of teleport between trees and stuff like that, but it does give us exploding 6s to hit on the hit rolls, which is pretty cool, meaning we get 2 hits instead of 1 for every 6 to hit. Now, if you're choosing to go with swords over scythes, you can probably swap this for the 6-up ward. Now, we've got Grand Strategy, no place for the weak. We should easily be able to take out our opponent's battle line units with this army. And our Triumph is inspired for +1 a wound in case a unit ever gets separated from the Arch Revenant, or for the Great Bows while they're sitting, at the backfield more while the rest of our army moves up. Now, we are going to have the Arch Revenant as our general. He's going to have the War Singer command trait. This allows our units to move an extra 3 inch while they're holding within 12 inch of him at the start of the turn. And then the artifact, we've actually got the Arcane Tome on him for Verdurous Harmony, which allows him to not only be a wizard, but cast Verdurous Harmony, which is a really cool spell. We can return a single Kerneth Hunter to a unit or D3 models to our Dryad unit in the army. Battleline wise, we have 10 Dryads, and then I've got 2 units of Kerneth Hunters, Scythes and Greatswords here. Really, this depends how you want it. If you're going Everdusk, you want Scythes. If you're going with Swords, get that 6-up ward on them. The otherwise, you've got the 3 Kerneth Hunters in there with Great Bows as well, and all our Kerneth Hunters are in the Bounty Hunters Battalion. So we are 950 points. All those Kerneth Hunters have got +1 damage. The size at +1 damage in Bounty Hunters really just go up for me. They get a lot more out of it than the swords, because the swords only do 2 mortal wounds. They don't up the amount of mortal wounds they do with those swords in comparison. No reinforced units, no allies. 60 wounds is really solid, and 5 drops as well. If you've been playing with Sylvaneth, if you've got some plans for a Heartwood Kerneth Hunter heavy Sylvaneth army, let us know down in the comments below what you're planning. And so that's the end of the video. Thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and drop us a comment down below letting us know what you enjoyed about the video. If you'd like to come help support the channel in another way, you can do so either by joining our Patreon or YouTube members, or grabbing some channel merch off our merch store on Teespring, which is on our YouTube store as well. You can also come chat with me and other members of our little community here and our Discord server, which is linked down in the video's description, along with the Patreon and YouTube members links. And as a special shout out to all those Patreons and YouTube members, we'd like to give them all a shout out. So thank you to our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shot First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Q Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, Derek, and Giapi 390. And a special thank you to our YouTube members: Greenroots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Locke Lorick, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Ariana Edwards, Sean Scott, Pink Nico Fire, and Robin Mankiller as well. Lastly, a special thanks to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel, and to everyone who comes on the channel and helps us create everything we do. Thank you all for watching once again, everyone. Stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.